Hey, this is Randall with KravMagaTraining.com. In this video I'm going to discuss the upward vertical elbow, or what's commonly referred to as elbow number 6 in the Krav Maga system. And in particular I'm going to discuss the proper hand positioning, arm positioning for this particular elbow strike. Before I get into that, out of all the elbows, there's 7 main elbows in the Krav Maga system. Out of those 7, this is by far the hardest elbow for students to learn. Even for me, I personally have got this elbow down pretty well when it comes to Indian target, but even I'm still trying to improve and get better on actually integrating this particular elbow when I'm sparring. I tend to use the horizontal elbow a lot more when I'm trying to get better at the vertical elbow. So I've been doing this for a long time, and so if you're one of those students who's having trouble with this particular elbow, well, don't worry about it. Join the club, welcome aboard. Everybody sucks at this elbow. It just takes a lot of practice. Now, I do plan on making other additional additional videos when it comes to this particular elbow, because quite frankly, there's so many parts that students tend to screw up with this particular elbow. But I'm not going to have time to do that, or we're going to go into like a 20-30 minute video, and I know none of you guys have the patience for that. You have better things to do in your life. So I'm just going to isolate one particular area, like I mentioned earlier, and that is the hand positioning. Okay, so this is what I mean is I'm referring to this hand and making sure it's in the right spot when we're doing this particular elbow. First of all, let me discuss whether you should have your hand open or a fist. The general rule when it comes to any elbow, horizontal elbow, side elbow, whatever, is that it's personal preference in regards to, do you want to make a fist or do you want to have your hand open as you deliver the strike? I personally use both. Everybody's different. Everybody has a personal preference. I found in general that a tight fist is a little bit stronger, and open hand is a little bit quicker and more relaxed. But like I said, personal preference. Everybody prefers something different. However, with this particular elbow, I do suggest that you have an open hand. And I don't like using a fist with this one because, for many reasons. One is, when you make a fist, there's a good chance you might graze the side of your head or clip your ear as you're doing the strike, because your hand's a lot wider in a fist position. I like to have the hand open. It's a lot thinner. So when I'm doing this particular elbow, it feels like I'm combing the side of my hair back like this. When my hand's open, it's a lot easier than that. When I'm making that fist, I feel like there's a chance I'm going to graze my ear and it doesn't feel good. It's like you're literally like punching yourself, which is just silly. So use an open hand like this. The next thing is, make sure that your hand is in this position like this, not turned this way. The worst thing I've seen students do is not only do they make a fist, but then they turn the palm like this. Not only is this really bad on your range of motion, you can't reach up as high compared to having your arm in this position, which decreases your power. But when you're not only making a fist, but when you turn it this way, now your hand's even wider, and you're going to have even a more likely chance of hitting yourself or grazing your elbow. So to me, this is the worst position to have. I've seen some people, even some styles, train it this way. So don't do this. I really do suggest have your hand turned this way, and even better, have your hand open as you deliver the strike. Okay, the next thing I want to isolate is make sure that your hand ends up behind your head after you hit the target. This means that you're following through properly on the strike. A lot of people, they'll finally get their hand open, put it in the right spot, but they only go about this far. They just kind of go to the side of their head like that. Like I said earlier, you're not going to be able to hit through the target. Just like with any strike, I don't want to just hit the target. I want to hit through the target, and I do that. You'll notice right here, my hand's only here. But if I was to hit through this target, notice my hand has to go back behind my head, almost like I'm going to grab the back of my head. For those of you who know the covering defense in the level 2 curriculum against hook punches, it's the same movement. In that, I don't want to be covering like this. I want to be covering the back of my head like this, because not only does it protect the side of my head, but it protects from people hitting the back of my head too, like they're trying to rabbit punch me, come around my guard to hit the back of my neck. An important principle in Krav Maga is that you're supposed to have movements that don't just work in one situation, but will work in multiple scenarios. And this is a classic example of that, in that this arm movement for this particular elbow is very similar to the covering defenses for those hook punches. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. I'll make a future video on that, or if you're one of my students, you're going to learn that in level 2 in one of your future classes. Anyways, to get back on track, don't just stop with your hand here. Make sure you hit, go through your target, and make sure your hand is actually behind your head like this. Like if you were to do this, I can actually touch the back of my neck. So I don't want to touch the side of my head, the back of my head. So those are my suggestions for this particular video, and I think of all the key points, this will help you guys out a lot. Make sure that your hand is open, make sure the thumb is up, make sure once you hit the target, you continue the motion so it's going all the way back. And one of the little things I see every once in a while students do is they'll tend to cut across over to the opposite side. There's nothing wrong with that particular elbow, but with this particular elbow, we're focusing on a vertical elbow that's traveling upward. So if I do this, it's going at an angle. So make sure, don't bring the hand from one side to the other like this. Make sure that it's staying on the same side. So those are my key points on proper hand positioning. And like I said, in the future, I'm going to make additional videos with this particular elbow to help you guys out, because like I said, there's a lot of key points to it. Anyways, be patient, hang in there. Everybody stinks at this elbow, everybody sucks at it, but you put in the work, eventually it'll come to you just like everyone else. Thanks for watching.